Hi, welcome to the Elle Russ Show, where I deliver content intended to inspire, educate, and motivate. Engage with me online at elleruss.com and on social media. Enjoy the show. Today, my guest is Coach Joc. She is a mom, wife, and the self-proclaimed Black woman's coach. When she's not enjoying a glass of Stella Rosa or spending time with her family, she is coaching Black women to step into their worth. Coach Joc's goal is to dismantle the stigma of the strong Black woman by teaching Black millennial women how to take themselves off the back burner and prioritize their healing and inner work so they can experience more joy and deeper connections. Enjoy the show. Hey, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
You know, I noticed you on Instagram. I love your post. Of course, everyone, by the way, that's coached by Joc, J-O-C. And I think what stood out to me initially was that your description says life coach for Black women. And I thought, you know, that makes a lot of sense. But tell me what it is that brought you there. How did you become a coach? And then after that, how did you specifically go in that direction where you're like, you know what? I want to make it a niche. I want to help my people.
Oh man, it's crazy that you asked that because I feel like I have told this story like quite a few times over the last couple of weeks. But I was bit by the entrepreneurial bug by my parents. They sold juices and Mary Kay, and it was great. I liked the idea of being an entrepreneur, but I was like, I don't want to fucking sell lipstick and juice. So
yeah. Yeah, like they did it, but they did it harder. Let's see if I can do it.
Yeah, let's see if I can take it up a notch. So I took one of those like online quizzes that, you know, tells you like your ideal career. And mine happened to be like, oh, it looks like you would work well with people. And I'm like, well, that's interesting because I don't really fucking like people. So this doesn't feel right. But one of the careers was a life coach. And so I was like, what is a life coach? So I started kind of doing a little bit of research, and you know, I was like, oh, well, this sounds like what I already fucking do. Like my friends come to me for everything. I'm kind of their sounding board. So I actually got certified back in 2016, but I didn't do a whole lot with it. I was taking just anybody and everybody, and it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. So it wasn't.
In what ways? Give me a few examples of what you were like, that didn't seem like what I wanted.
It wasn't filling me up. It didn't feel fulfilling. I was, like I said, I was taking any and every client that came to me. And there was nothing relatable. Like I wasn't relating to them in any way. Like they would tell me these stories or what they were going through. And I was like, oh, okay, great. And I would ask the right questions and move them towards the direction they wanted to be in. But I wasn't feeling anything. Like I was just like, okay, great. On to the next one. It wasn't filling me up in the way that I thought it would.
That's always a downer. Getting off a coaching session and then being like, you know, well, I helped them, but I don't feel
any type of way. Right. Like I didn't, maybe that was selfish, you know, but I was like, I don't feel any type of way. So probably the last couple of years, once I really started to, understand like niching down and being able to almost cherry pick the people that I worked with, I was like, oh, well, duh. Yeah. And once I decided like I want to work with Black women, like I want to be able to provide them with the resources, the permission to be vulnerable and prioritize themselves, I was like, hell yeah, like this is where I'm supposed to be.
Well, and what an important space. We all need someone that understands our experience, right? Or if we say something, they're not looking at us like, oh, I'm sorry, what? You know? What are some things that have come up in coaching Black women that you like? Has there been moments where you're like, oh yeah, this is a moment where you got to be Black to have this conversation? Like, or
every day.
Yeah, every day. Okay. Yeah. Because it's just inherent within. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's wild. It's been super fulfilling, but super wild when I get on the phone with women, whether it's just for an application call to see if like we fit well together, working together, or an actual full blown coaching call where, you know, these women tell their stories and it's just like, we're all kind of looking at each other like, that's my fucking story. You know, coming up in these households with these iconic, strong Black women who do all the things and, you know, never fucking break and never take a break, never show any emotions. Like you don't sweat. Like nobody can ever see you fucking sweat.
Yep.
And so having those
It's kind of the story
experiences,
of almost every single mom, probably too, in
right,
general. Yeah.
right. Yeah. And so it's just been, that's what's been filling. Like that was the piece that was missing before, where it was like, you know, women were coming and they were having these issues and I was helped through them. But,
Oh yeah.
you know, having these people that I can literally look at and see myself, and have these relatable stories, it's been like unlike anything I can describe.
Well, and what a sense of creating a community as well. Must be so nice to have a new tribe of wonderful people. Yeah, I thought that was really fascinating when I saw that on your profile, and I thought, yeah, I like this. I want to have this conversation. I wonder. My friend Tanya Stewart Dyer is a alpha woman coach. She's like specifically talks about alpha women, and when she chats about it, she talks about this origin story that alpha women are usually created by very strong women, alpha women, which is sort of what you're talking about. You're talking about like those single badass moms out there, whether black or white that doesn't matter, but that general sense. Do you know what I mean? Of we have issues then being alphas, right? And need to get coached out of it because we don't ask for help. We're too strong. We're not vulnerable, right? All the things you just mentioned is my journey as an alpha woman. I don't know about you, but there's issues there. You see the pitfalls of that strength along the way. And I think that's what I'm seeing here, that you're sort of probably identifying with a lot of these women who are raised by very strong women. Same here, by the way, raised by a strong single mom,
Yeah. No, I mean, it's interesting because I actually listened to that episode, and I was like, oh my gosh, she's talking to me like she is calling me to the carpet. But yeah, I mean, that's unfortunately the story of the Black woman. And yeah, like you said, single mom or not, and coming from a background of being a single mom, that's just hard. And you're exactly right. Like we don't ask for help. We don't allow people to be there for us in an emotional capacity, in a physical capacity, in a mental capacity. And we just carry the weight of the world until we fucking break. And that shit's not fun.
Oh, yeah, boy, you know what though? I'm glad I've hit bottom a couple times in my life, because I think once you get up from that bottom, it seems like nothing else can take you down there because you've already been there and you're like, I'm not going back. So, sometimes I think it's a positive thing for people. What are some themes you've noticed? I mean, obviously you're Black yourself, so you're not living as a white person like me, but what are some themes you feel like you've noticed through coaching Black women that perhaps me as a white coach would not necessarily understand, but some themes that maybe you sort of see that are different?
Some themes. I think it's interesting. I have one of my best friends is white, and she always comes to me for kind of this insight. And I think a common theme is not feeling safe. Not feeling safe in spaces where we don't see people that look like us. Not feeling safe in the workplace. I actually just had a conversation with a client about this a couple of days ago, and yeah, I think those are the biggest probably common themes that I hear, is not feeling safe. I've heard a lot of women say, I'm tired, right? That's a common theme too. And I think that's just women in general who are just fucking tired. But that I hear that all the time. They're like, I'm just so exhausted. I'm so exhausted from doing everything, being everything to everybody, and having nothing left over for myself. And it's sad, and it's beautiful when I get them to a place where they realize, you know what, I'm just as important as being a mother. I'm just as important as being a wife. I'm just as important as being a daughter. And it's like I said, it's like unlike anything I can describe, because when I see those women come to those awarenesses and literally watch the light bulb go off, where they're like, hold the fuck up, like, hold the fuck up. I'm important too.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
It's crazy.
I wonder too, if watching the world be on fucking fire past 4 years with racial shit in every direction, I bet I can only imagine you're getting more clients. I don't know. I just feel like it's such a time you might want to reach out and commiserate with someone on some shit,
Right. No, it truly, I think because we've been in this very uncomfortable space, people are, number one, recognizing like, shit, I need help. Number two, they're looking for, again, those safe spaces. And I'm sure there's a lot of other, Black women coaches out there. But I don't see as many of them as I see white or, other races. And so knowing that I'm one of, maybe a handful or even a bucket full of coaches that they know they can come to and have a safe space
True.
and have relatable conversations with, um, is truly a reward for me. Like I wouldn't trade it for anything. But you're absolutely right. There's definitely an uptick in women who they're like, hey, I'm in therapy already, but I need something else.
That's
Like
right.
I need something else. And it brings me joy because, again, for therapy and coaching and really just help in any capacity being still kind of taboo in the Black community,
Right.
it's been really, really amazing to see so many Black women come to me that say, like, I'm taking care of myself. I'm in therapy already. I need a coach now. I'm doing this already. I need you in my corner. That's been amazing.
What do you think it is? I mean, I think in general, over time, it's gotten more open. People are more accepting of like, oh yeah, people just go, oh yeah, I have a therapist without like hiding it or being like, embarrassed about
Mm-hmm.
it. Whereas before it wasn't like that. I think worldwide, probably sort of we all have gotten comfortable with this discussion. Why was the Black community so hesitant, or why is it something within that community? Like, for example, we could look historically. I would say, oh well, if anyone's been at the openness about it, it's probably been the Jews, right? A lot of Jew therapists, a lot of like in movies talk about it, people being open about being in therapy. So that culture kind of not
Mm-hmm.
worried about it necessarily or have issues about it, but that's been like longstanding. So what is it about the Black community and the issues with um, therapy or seeking it or.
That's a good question. I don't I honestly don't know. I think I think that's something that just goes back so far, that it just became natural. It became natural for us to not seek help when we need it in any capacity, whether it's mental, emotional, physical help. Um, and so it became ingrained in us that you don't need help. Like you don't go to other people for help. You certainly don't go outside of your circle for help.
Sure. And at the
You
time, back
know,
in the day, there were probably zero or very minimal Black
yeah,
therapists and psychiatrists. So yes, of course, Black people would be like, I'm not going to go see them like this, 1950s. Who's going to go?
right.
I wouldn't. If I were Black, I'd be like, I'm not going anywhere near a white therapist.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So, yeah, so I think yeah, I think you made a good point that in conjunction with, again, not having those safe spaces, certainly not, 60, 70 years ago. Um, again, it just became this thing that was kind of natural for us. Like, no, you don't ask for help. You figure it the fuck out. You keep it pushing. I mean, we have all of
Yes,
these
that makes
even
sense.
little slogans, right? Like, keep it pushing, like, I'm
Mhm.
good, like all of these things. And it's like, first of all, we're not good. We don't have to push through. We don't have to, again, carry the weight of the world and see like, oh, how much shit can I take before my back completely falls out? Like, it doesn't have to be that way. And so, yeah, I think it's been a generational thing. And I don't know at what point it stopped. Um, and people were like, you know what? I can go to therapy. I can get help. I can do fucking Reiki. I can meditate. Like all of
Right.
those things are still kind of new to Black people. Like it's it's not natural for us.
What are some 180 success stories you can share with us, where someone came in, thought they were helpless or bummed out or having issues in their life? Give us a few scenarios of some wonderful I'm sure there's so many that you have, but that you can come to mind that are special to you.
One, there's a girl who's in my group program right now. And she started with me during it's a free 5-day challenge that I do every few months. And she started in the challenge and she's very like tough exterior, amazing, amazing woman. But she just was like, I have to choose me. Like that was the point that she was at. She was like, I'm tired, I'm broken down. I have all of these goals. I have all of these dreams. I want to have kids. I want to, have my own business, all of these things. And once we finished the free 5-day challenge, she was like, I'm absolutely doing the 12-week program with you. And so by week 3 of the program, I always ask at the end of the call, like, what do you know now that you didn't know 45 minutes ago? And she said, she was like, that I'm important. And she takes Saturdays, every Saturday, to just herself. She's like, I'm going to do this. I'm not setting an alarm. I'm getting up and doing whatever the fuck I want to do. I'm having brunch with my husband. I'm going for a walk. She's like, I'm texting my family that I'm unavailable because I need this for me. Like, just hearing the shift in language, like just hearing the shift in, like, you know, from, well, I've got to take care of my mom and I'm this to my sister and I'm that, like, just hearing that shift and the confidence in it, right? Like the fucking conviction that I was like, oh, bitch, you got me convinced.
That's right. She realized she was overgiving. She was like, all right, I'm over this shit. I'm not doing everything for everyone else. Yeah. And that's, you know, by the way, such a theme, you know, and if you're out there, it's it can sometimes be a classic alpha pitfall, but it also is really a people pleaser trap you fall into if you're one of these people, and you end up doing everything for everyone else. And then, you know, I remember even years ago, so I make my own schedule, and because of that, I started to notice over the years, like, my friends thought that because I worked from home and didn't have a 9-to-5 job, I was available to be on call for whatever the fuck they wanted. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, oh, can you drive me there? Well, you're not doing anything, or you're available. You know, you're like, no, that's not how it works.
Right.
You know? So
yeah. And that was kind of the place that she was in. She was always so available to everybody. And so, you know, that was why the piece about texting her family and letting them know, like, hey, this is my day, was so important. And such a huge step for her, because again, to be that person who has always been so accessible, to now say, you can't
drawing
fucking
a boundary.
access me. Yeah, like,
that's good boundary. That is such a great example of, and what I love about that is, it wasn't that she was like, I'm just not going to take calls. She specifically was like, yo, I'm not fucking available, so don't even reach out. Don't bother. Right. It's literally like, you know, it reminds me of, like, when people go through AA or treatment centers, they've got to sit there in front of the counselor and, like, call their drug addict and be like, don't reach me again, I'm sober. Or like, right. It's kind of like one of those things, but instead of just being like, well, I just want to answer when they're call, you're taking that extra step, which is a lot, because it'd be one thing to not accept the calls. It's extra badass pro you move to go, hey, I'm letting you know, Saturdays, fuck off.
Yep. Call me on Sunday, but not on Saturday. Yeah. That was huge. That was really huge. And I was like so proud of her, just for, like I said, in 3 weeks coming to that level of confidence, to be able to say, just like you said, fuck off on Saturday. Like, we can go back to the bullshit on Sunday, but Saturday is my day. Another girl that I just wrapped up, she wrapped up my first round of my program with. You know, one of her biggest milestones was really working on the relationship with her son. And again, being able to plant new seeds and dig up the old ones, like dig up the old, like, we don't need help, or, you know, we don't go to therapy, like all of those old fucking plants that were, you know, planted in the seeds that were planted in us. And, you know, she'll message me from time to time and she's like, hey, I just had this amazing conversation with my son, or my son has just been so loving to me lately. And, you know, I told her, I was like, it's going to take time. Like, you've got 13 years of kind of undoing and unplanting and reseeding that you have to do. But once he sees you show up differently, he will be motivated to show up differently. Bingo. And that has been, like, amazing for her to watch unfold. And again, you know, now we're impacting the coming generations, right? Now we're impacting our kids and our legacy. And that's like, that hits home for me, because having a 13-year-old and a 3-year-old, a 2-year-old, I'm like, whew, I got to make sure I set these kids up. Like, I got to set them up for success. So
which is such a great point, which is why people should coach with you and why you get a coach. Because if you're a parent, particularly, you need to have your shit ready to model the right behavior, ethics, qualities, characteristics, confidence, and everything else. If you cower down all the time, then your kid's never going to speak up, you know, so you have to model that. And so even if you don't feel like you need this for yourself, you need it for your kids, get on it. Yeah. That's beautiful. And also a great example of a situation where a lot of people think something cannot change, right? Like, oh, it's been 13 years, been this way forever. I don't know. I've been modeling this. How do you just suddenly, and nothing is set in stone, and this is very possible.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I sometimes like I felt that way, like I said, with my oldest, she's gonna be 14 next week. And I was like, man, I did not do this kid justice. But again, I have, I had a chance to kind of do it over. And so she's been able to watch me reparent and do things differently and do things better. And even for her, I'm trying to instill in her, like, taking the time for self-care, taking care of her emotional health. Like, there's days where she's like, Mom, I am so stressed with school. And I'm like, cool, take a mental health day. Like, I'm very upfront with her and very honest with her about, like, your emotional health and your mental health are important. And while, yes, school is important, it's not the end all be all. I'm not determining your value based on your accomplishments. If you are a decent human being, if you are going to school and standing up for the kids who are being bullied, I can really give a shit about an F.
That's right.
Like, I could really give a shit.
Yeah, because you know what? You get a fucking A for the other. That's
right,
I'm
right.
gonna give you an A for that. Yeah.
And that's what's important. That's the type of shit that's going to take you through life, like not fucking trigonometry. So
thank you very much, by the way. And I had a math teacher wrote some book who was like, if you guys never learn math, you're going to be sweeping floors at the local, and I was like, I'm not sweeping floors, bitch. And I don't do math. I still don't do math. I hate it. Don't like it.
You.
If you ask me 10% of 100, I'm like, I don't know, $10. Like it's terrible. I just don't. Now, when I apply myself, am I good at it? Yeah. I just don't want it. I don't
Absolutely.
care. But it's one of those things you're always told, like, oh, math and science. And the funny thing is, like, I wrote a best-selling book based in science. I don't have a science, like, just all of it's bullshit, people. Street smarts and general knowledge is actually way more valuable in life than a degree.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think like you said, modeling the behaviors and the ethics and the values that you want your kids to have, like, that's what's important to me. I think often go ahead.
Sorry. No, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I think so often, like I said, we inherently just really look at, like, what our kids have accomplished, and we base them off of those accomplishments. And I don't think it's a purposeful thing. I think we all, like, want to have those things that we brag, to our friends about, oh, my kid did this and my kid, I got all A's and B's, and it's great. But it's like, no, I want to brag on my kid because she stood by her values. Like, she stood on some shit that really matters.
I'm going to bring this up because I think it's relevant. Many, many, many years ago, I had a friend who started a tutoring company, and he was like, look, I need help with this one family. Can you go over and, like, help them with their, and it was like extra money at the time. And I was like, sure. This family were worth literally billions of dollars, had a huge house, a staff of 9. They had a bitch who just ironed shit. I was like, who? It was so stupid. Okay. So every kid had, like, a tutor, and like, and the kids were, like, booked up 24/7, like the schedule. They went from cello to this to that to
Yeah.
And then the kids would look at me and be like, we're bored. And I'd be like, I never said that shit when I was a kid. We figured it out. Went to build a fort in the closet, go fucking do some shit, go outside, right? Because not living in this world. And they literally, the kids were at a very prominent school in LA called Harvard Westlake, where a lot of, like, famous people come from. And of course, a lot of people go to Ivy Leagues from there. It's a very expensive, private, exclusive school. Right. The kids were 11 years old, 4 hours of homework a night. And the way I looked at that was, I was like, and the parents barely talked to their kids. The kids were all fucked up. It's because the parents were out on spiritual retreats with Deepak Chopra and didn't give a shit about their kids. So they're over here meditating and doing all this stuff. And, like, kids aren't being, one kid's anorexic. I mean, the whole thing was a mess. They have billions of dollars. And I thought, wow, first of all, money doesn't do shit for raising a family, for just raising good kids. Yeah. And also, I remember at the time going, this is practically child abuse to have them this busy. Where are the times where you just go off and you make some shit up somewhere? You go play on the trampoline. Yeah, go color, go do something, and so it was just too much. And those kids are not learning the proper self-care techniques, or even having, when we were kids and we had more time, you had the ability to, like, creatively daydream and just think. You got to give kids to just sit there and ponder. And so many people are too busy, and I think it's a disservice to the kids, because it's like you said, it's about their accomplishments. Oh, we're going to put the cello on their resume, and they can play the violin, and but that doesn't make a person.
No.
I know it
I
was a
could
long
give
rant, but
no. I mean, it fit because, like I said, I could give a shit about your cello abilities. Like, are you a decent human being? Like, all right, I don't care if you can play it with your feet. Like, are you a decent human being? That's what I want to know.
like, I'll be
And yeah,
impressed, but I may not like you still, even if
yeah,
you play with your
yeah.
feet. Yeah.
And it's funny because the story about the girl that recently committed suicide, who was, I think she was like Miss USA, or
Yes.
I can't
Right.
remember, but my best friend had asked me about that, and I hadn't heard about it. I don't watch the news. I really try to like steer clear of all that shit. But I read up on the story, and that exactly what I just said was like, that was what made me sad about that story, because here this girl was who had hit all of these accomplishments, right? Like this
Right.
before 20 and this before 30 and this before 25. And it's like, that's what all her life has been, right? Living up to the next accomplishment. And when there's
Mhm.
no more left, then what? Then
Right. You've
what?
made it. You've ultimately made it. You become Miss Universe or Miss
Right.
USA. And like, then now fucking what? You've been working since you were 3 in pageants? Like, oh,
Yeah. Like, and then there's nothing left to accomplish. And especially, the ones that are age based, like you don't see a whole lot of
right.
like such and such before 40 or such and such. Nobody gives a shit at that point. Like, did you accomplish it by the
There's
time
no
you were
Miss
25?
Geriatric USA. We don't do
Yeah,
that.
like nobody gives a shit. Like, you're old now, nobody cares. So it's like, to live in a world where, sorry,
That's all right. We love the
to
dog.
live to live in a world where we have like, just everything is about, black before 30, or, accomplishing this while being black before 25, or accomplish. It's like, okay, but then what?
Mhm.
Once I've done all that, then what? And when you've made that your whole life and your whole being, it's like you get to a point where it's like, okay, so then what do I have left to do here? And
Well, and
I
that's what I
just,
feel about friends who are my age. I'm in my 40s, and so my friends who have, the kids are in college, right? They've got the 401k, they have the house, they did all the things, quote, that they should have done to check the list off, and now they're going, "Fuck, what have I
now
done with
what?
my life now?" Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
it's classic.
And that,
So that's such a great thing to put out to everyone. Listen, if you are in some dead end bullshit job, you hate your life, you're like whatever, then this is why you need a coach, so that
mhm.
you can find your purpose, get motivated, get the confidence to go pursue your dreams and live the life. Because I can tell you right now, I am so grateful that I've been able to do what I've been able to do. But had I been stuck, I was just, the audience probably knows my story, but for you, I was disabled at the age of 22, and I had to leave my corporate job where I was making like, hundreds of thousands a year.
Mhm.
And I then, you kind of can't get a job in this world without using your hands repetitively 8 hours a day. And so I was sitting there going, oh my God, what am I going to do with my life? Best thing
Mhm.
that ever happened to me, propelled me towards my purpose. And so even though all those friends were like making more money, at the time, like had their 401ks, had their, bonuses, their benefits, all that stuff, which I didn't, I feel so much more fulfilled. Like I could
Right.
die tomorrow. God, I'm knock on wood right now. But if I did, I'd feel so great about everything that I've done and been and who I've become. And I feel that there's people my age who didn't have that, because the universe, broke those golden handcuffs off of me. I didn't have the choice. And so when
Mhm.
you're in it and you're already there, unless you're disabled from it or there's some reason, you're going to kind of stay in it and get sucked into it. You're going to have those golden
Yeah.
handcuffs, but then you're going to be in your 40s, kids are off to college, and you go, fuck,
Yeah. What have I done?
what have I done? Hey, let me ask you this. We were talking earlier, and I love that you mentioned in the beginning about how you were like, I was coaching people like I didn't even want to, right? So,
Mhm.
so that notion of not taking everyone as a client and how
Mhm.
important that is, I think was so valid to
Yeah.
talk about. And then also let's talk about rates. Like every coach has this thing when they first start, they're like, I don't know how much I charge. Who do I think I am? Okay, I'll charge 50 bucks. And
Mhm.
then you kind of go up the realm of believing yourself. I'm fucking good. Hold on a minute. So give us, I mean, you don't have to give us the pricing, but tell us, like what your mind frame was around that from the beginning until now. I'm sure you have something to say about this for other coaches out there that are struggling with like raising rates or how much to
Yeah.
charge.
Yeah. So, exactly what you said. I was taking anybody and everybody. And like I said, I wasn't even business savvy enough to understand, like, I can literally choose my clients. Like, I don't have to work with everybody who says that they want to work with me. Um, and so, yeah, like I said, once I learned that, it was like the fucking gates opened up and I was like, holy shit, I love it here. Um, But yeah, I think that's important for any coach and even clients looking for coaches. Like, I think it's important to vet each other. It's important for me to know that I'm going to be able to help you, and that we're going to be able to vibe while we're doing that. But also the other way around. Like, when I
Yes.
do my application calls, like, that's you vetting me, right? Like, I tell them, like,
Yes.
ask me anything. And the last couple application calls I've had, like, these women have taken full advantage and asked me everything. They're like, how did you find yourself? How did you do this? What made you get started? And I'm like, okay, ask me all the shit then.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's a two-way street. Like, it has to be a good working relationship. Obviously you don't have to be best friends, but I think there's important to have a rapport there so that you can get the job done and hopefully enjoy each other while doing it.
Yes, I think this is very important. The only area of coaching where I do not vet the person first is thyroid coaching, only
Mm,
because that's, you know what I mean? It's really not
yeah,
about personality at that point. It's just helping
right.
them right with the problem. However, if someone does book so I don't have to talk to them first, they could just book a call with me, right?
Hmm.
When I'm on that call, it's happened. It's very rare, but it's happened where, let's say I really know that I cannot help that person.
Yeah.
I'll say, you know what? Here's your money back. Just on that
Hmm.
one, because it's
Hmm.
like they booked it, they paid for it, and then if for some reason we're on the call and I'm like, oh, you know what? This is all you need is vitamin D. See you later. You didn't need me.
Yeah.
I'll give them a little bit of a partial refund on that. But other than that,
Yeah.
for life coaching, for writing coaching, I have to talk to the people, particularly
Yeah.
the writing coaching. I'm not going to sit there and be hand in hand with you and it's like you writing a book and then like
Right.
I don't like your idea, or I don't think it's going to be, fun,
Right.
or I don't think you're going to be motivated enough, or whatever it is. And so I love
Hmm.
that idea. I think too, when you are out there and you're like, I'll take whatever client comes in, that is a lack mindset.
Yes.
And so that
Yes.
shift is so good, right? To hold on a
Hmm.
minute. And usually, like you and us, we don't discover that until you coach someone that you're like, oh, gee, I should have vetted that
Yeah.
one for you. Yeah.
That was horrible. Yes.
So I love
Yeah.
that. That's high self-esteem. And that's also, to me, in my belief of intention, law of attraction, whatever you want to call it,
Hmm.
you are really putting out there like, no, I get to have who I want.
Yeah.
Like I only attract great clients that I love.
Absolutely.
And I feel like you're going
Absolutely.
to get more clients by even taking that stand vibrationally than you would by being like, oh, I just need somebody.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and that's, I mean, you couldn't have hit it more on the head than you did. Like, when you are in that place of desperation, that lack mentality of like, "Ugh, I just need a client." Yeah, it's not going to happen. But once you just kind of like, almost let go and let God, and I'm not religious, um, it's amazing to watch how it unfolds. Like, once I got to a place of like, these are the people I want to work with. This is the intention that I'm setting. I'm calling in clients that are so fucking aligned with me. It makes no sense. I want to feel
I
like I've
love you.
known these.
Yes, I
Like,
know.
I
Isn't that amazing when that happens?
yeah.
Like I did a confidence course, like group thing. I'm doing an automated one soon, but the group of people, like I couldn't have like paid for a better lineup of
Hmm.
people. Like it was
Hmm.
unbelievable. And I think
Yeah.
that just is, yeah.
Hmm. It's wild. And so I have, I feel like I've been operating at that vibration since the end of last year, where I just, everybody that has, had an application call with me, I've been like, holy shit, like, you are, like, you're it, like, you're my it girl.
That's
And
great.
they just keep getting better and better. It's been crazy to see.
I feel the same way too. It's so fun. And so now looking back, isn't that first of all, I also just wanted to comment on what you had said in the beginning. I have never heard of anyone being like, I found my purpose through basically taking one of those tests online.
It's
Like the fact
wild.
that's crazy. Like the fact you're like, I don't know, let's just do some stupid tests, see what they say. And then you're like,
Yeah,
I don't like people. What? And then
I
just the fact that
don't.
you went down that curiosity rabbit hole and it ended up being so aligned is so
Yes.
funny.
I listen, I, like you said, I couldn't have paid for it to work out any better, because, and like I said, even after having those, handful of clients where I was like, what the fuck did I just get myself into? Like, I done paid, this money for this certification. I ain't about to do nothing with it. And then, like I said, here I am some years later, a whole lot of years later. And I got recertified and I got some more certifications under my belt. So yeah, it's been amazing for sure. As far as rates go, yeah, I think that's always tricky to navigate. When I started, when I was taking anybody and everybody, I think I was like it was like $50 a session.
And
granted,
that seems about right for a starting coach.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that a starting coach should charge that. I'm just saying that makes sense for the mind of a starting coach to go, you know what, let's just do 100 or something.
Yeah. It was pretty fucking irrational, but it was
yeah. In hindsight, you're like, I can't believe someone got me.
Yes, you got me. And granted, I was good then, so I was like, all right, that should be good enough. But yeah, once I got to that place, and again, certainly after being certified and getting so many different certifications under my belt, I was like, you know what? I'm fucking fire at what I do. And, people get on the phone with me, and after one session, they're like, wow. Yep. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm not good at what I do anymore. I'm fucking phenomenal at what I do. And people are going to pay me, for the transformation. Like, it's not even about, oh, well, I'm worth such and such. Because listen, nobody could ever pay me what I'm worth.
That's right.
But yeah, I think when people come to me and they get these transformations in 1, 2, 3 sessions, you're going to pay for that for sure.
Absolutely. And that is also just the sign of a great coach. This is my coach too. So I actually, 15 years ago, I was searching for a coach, and I looked online and I was searching, and there was no social media really at the time. There's like a little bit of Facebook. And I looked up like law of attraction coaches or whatever it was. And I booked 3 consultations, 2 women and 1 guy. The guy ended up being I was surprised, but the guy ended up being my coach. He's been my coach for 15 years. I don't coach with him regularly, but it's like one of those things when you can't coach yourself on something big, maybe it's like once every couple of years I call him. I'm like, oh shit. Yeah. But what I loved about that was, and in those 3 calls, the first 2 bitches, I'm just laughing because they were very like, okay, well, and I'm like, oh bitch, we got to move faster. Like, I'm from downtown Chi-Town. I can't handle this. Yeah. And they weren't getting to it. It was like a bad therapy. Well, let's talk. How did you feel when you were like, oh, shut up. Then I got to Jeff, my coach, and this motherfucker like fixed my issue in 45 minutes on a free call. Yeah. And I was like, what? Yeah. What? And I have recommended him to a couple of guys, particularly because sometimes guys want guy coaches, right? Motherfucker just solves shit in like 4 sessions for these people. And that is why I went with him, because my experience. So you can have those consultation calls and they're worthwhile. You really see the value. And, never went back, never really. I mean, I've maybe hired coaches for other things, like a business thing or something, but never for life coaching. He's like my guy. And that's been 15 years now, and he's, I think, refer only. I don't think he even has a website anymore. It's just like, but you got to go, search and talk and check out a few, because listen, I really didn't think it would be a guy. I didn't. I don't know. I'm not prejudiced against him. I just thought I'd probably resonate more with a woman or something. And absolutely, he killed it. And I am so grateful that I did that, and grateful that I didn't just like talk to one person and choose them either. Yeah, no. And that, I think that's probably a major key for any coaches that are listening, is like, get to it. Like people don't like a whole lot of fluff. And that's, I think, the one thing that people really resonate with me on, is I'm very to the point. Like, okay, cool. What's the purpose? What are we doing here? What are you trying to accomplish? One girl that I coached from my coaching hours, Haley, she's always like, I love getting on here with you because you just help me get my shit together really quick. And she's very scattered all over the place. And I'm like, girl, okay, what are we doing here? And that's just how I am. That's how I execute. And granted, I'm not for everybody. I get that. But, if you're somebody who's very much like, look, we got to get down to the nitty gritty. This is my problem. Walk me to it. Then, that's how I operate. Well, and I'm sure the audience is like, oh, I see why she wanted to interview Coach Joc, because you're totally my type of personality. I love it. And also, I just want to say to the audience too, if you were listening to Coach Joc earlier talk about how badass she is at her own job and how kick-ass she is, and somehow that seemed weird to you, that means you need to work on confidence. Because when I hear that, see, when you were talking to her, I'm like, yeah, fucking go girl, kick ass. Yeah, own it. And if you're out there, when people say things like that and you don't have confidence, it seems braggy or weird or uncomfortable inside. And that's why I wanted to point that out, because I love that you're so confident. And if anyone was uncomfortable or weirded out by that, that means you need to work on self-esteem and confidence. That part. Yeah. And I used to be one of those people where
I would listen to somebody not brag about themselves, but tell their truth.
Right.
And it made
Declare
me
it.
uncomfortable. Right. And I was like, oh, well, she just thinks she's all right. It made me uncomfortable. So yeah, I'm glad that you picked up on that, because that's a shift that took a really long time for me to make. But yeah, I sit on my throne and I'm like, look, I know I'm good at what I do. I'm not being an ass about it. I'm just telling you what it is. So
Yeah, it's
yeah,
ultimate. You are definitely confident as fuck. Let's talk
yeah.
about how you work with people. So tell us, like, can we work with you one-on-one and then your group coaching? Like, how does it work?
Yeah, so I do have one-on-ones. They're super limited because, like I said, I have two kids and I have a whole lot going on. So one-on-ones are usually very limited. I take two or three women every 3 months. My group program, I have one that's we're almost right in the middle of that one. It's 12 weeks. And essentially, what I do is I work with Black women on learning how to be vulnerable. We take off the strong Black woman cape and we learn how to be vulnerable. We learn how to be authentic and bring our true selves to the table. So, like I said, we're in the middle of that right now. The next round will start in June. And then next month, and well, tomorrow, March, I'll have a free 5-day program, 5-day challenge that I run where women can just kind of get a sneak peek of what it's like to work with me. So every day we have a different topic that we cover. We get on there for about, usually it's supposed to be 30 minutes, but we end up on there for an hour. The women just love it. So yeah, we kick it for an hour. We get some work done. We drink wine. We talk shit, and then yeah, we do that for 5 days.
That's my
It's
kind of
cool.
coach. I'm gonna jump in on that,
Yeah.
even though I know I'm a woman, so I can't.
Yeah.
Hey, question about how many people then are in the group coaching? If we sign up for your 12 weeks, do you have a maximum, or what does it turn out to be, the group size?
I do. I have a max of 8.
Mhm.
If women are really beating down the doors, the max is 10. But I like it being super small and intimate, so that way
Yes.
everybody kind of has that still that high touch, and kind of a not quite a one-on-one feel with me, but feel like they're
Yes.
not lost in the sauce. So I really like to keep it small and intimate.
Is your group program just it's live sessions with you, and I'm sure then
Yep.
you might provide work on the
Yeah.
side? Are there other?
It's weekly live sessions. So we'll meet once a week for an hour. And like I said, we get a lot of work done. I don't fuck around. We're not about to sit in kumbaya. We get straight to work. I have been told both rounds so far, the first session, they're not expecting it for us to jump in the way that we do. So I would say
Hey, that's the best way to do it, though. Hey, you
yeah,
you signed up for it, not you paid me
yeah.
to kick your ass. So
I'm not wasting your time or mine. So yeah, people are usually shocked the first session. They're like, oh, so you weren't kidding. I'm like, no, I wasn't. So yeah, we work together 12 weeks. Once a week we meet live. You have access to me. It's not Voxer, it's another one. I forget what it's called, Zello, I think. Between sessions, if you kind of need to unpack something or you need to work through something. Um,
yeah, a little quick encouragement call, a little.
yeah, a little pick me up. And then I send everybody their own little self-care box. So I curate based on what you tell me you like, some things that kind of pick you up, or things that you enjoy on your self-care day. I send you a box right to your door. And yeah, that's how the group coaching works.
I wonder, I mean, I'm sure the answer is yes, because I've done the group thing too. Isn't it awesome when the group members find their tribe through,
Yeah,
I mean, right? I'm sure a lot of friendships and connections have developed from being in
yeah,
a group. That's like, which is another reason to take a group coaching program, group live
yeah.
coaching program.
Yeah. One of the biggest things for my brand, that one of my values is definitely community, because again, I think one of those other horrible stigmas of Black women is that we don't do well being friends, right? We're just very
Oh, really?
catty
That's
and very
a stigma thing. No, I hadn't known that. I didn't know that that was a thing.
yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things. It's like, Black women can't be friends, or there's just always catty or drama. And I think that's a stigma for women in general, but
True,
it
true.
just it relieves that stigma, and it provides them with a space to again have other Black women that are going through either the same things or similar things or nothing similar at all, but kind of still coming back to the same lack of vulnerability, lack of self-confidence, lack of whatever, and understanding that they all really come from the same story. So having that community and being able to bring Black women together, free of the drama, free of the cattiness, but really on the basis of healing is amazing.
I love it.
Yeah.
You're freaking awesome. Tell everyone, we'll put it in the show notes, but tell everyone the best way to get in touch with you, learn about your classes, courses, et cetera, your group coaching, et cetera.
Probably the best way is find me on Instagram, Coached by Joc, and JOC, like Young Joc. Email is info@coachedbyjoc.com. And yeah, typically anything that you need to find, anything that's going on is going to be right there.
I just want to repeat, because I don't know if it was clear. You said info@coachedbyjoc.com, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Coachedbyjoc.com. Yeah. And usually anything that I'm working on, anything that's available is going to be at the link in my bio on Instagram. And yeah, that's how you can find me.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, first of all, for all of your work and just your work helping women on this topic. This is such a thing. And, it was my problem for 20 years and I wish I had gotten to it sooner. So you're freaking awesome. Everybody go follow Coach Joc. And she's got a great Instagram page. And is there anything you'd like to leave with our audience before we close out?
No, I think, just always, always, always remember that you are important. Like, you are your highest priority. And if you're not, then you need to make yourself your highest priority.
Awesome. Thanks so much. And everyone else, we'll see you next time.
Yes, thank you.
Hey listeners, over the years, a ton of companies have approached me to collaborate, but I will only promote companies whose products I believe in and that I actually use and consume on a regular basis. So let me tell you about some of my favorite companies that I can offer you discounts for. Rep Provisions, an amazing company doing incredible things for our planet, topsoil, and animals with regenerative agriculture, and it's my #1 source for quality pasture-raised meat and chicken. Visit repprovisions.com and use code L15 for 15% off. I'm also obsessed with a company called Carnivore Crisps. They make a lean, all-natural, and delicious alternative to conventional snacking, made with just real meat and real salt. Totally addictive, and my favorite ones are the beef brisket and the ribeye. Visit carnivorecrisps.com and use code PALEO10 for 10% off. I also love and regularly use Paleo Valley products. They make amazing supplements and delicious paleo products. I use the superfood greens powder, grass-fed beef sticks, the organ complex, and their bone broth bars. I love the lemon and apple. I also use their essential C complex and more. Visit paleovalley.com/promos/Elle Russ for 15% off. I also love Primal Kitchen. They make delicious paleo-approved, gluten-free, grain-free, soy-free, and no refined sugar products. And I use them daily, from their collagen powders and sauces and marinades to their avocado and olive oil. So good, so healthy. Visit primalkitchen.com and use code L10 for 10% off. I also love paleo powder and use it almost on everything I cook. They make incredible seasoning blends, and they also have these incredible grain-free coatings that feel just like crispy breadings that you would have had prior to knowing that there's another way. So visit paleopowder.com and use code L15 for 15% off.